Hello guys, welcome to our May tutorial. Do I have we are doing this cute, oh goodness, I dropped something. This umbrella, and it can hold flowers. So it's got a small little gap at the top here. You might have to cut some of the thicker parts of your flowers off. Give me just a second. Let me clean up what I dropped here, grab my other flowers. Okay. So there we go. Oh, isn't that just cute? And then I had some of these, but my stems fell off. But let's see, let me cut this here. So I just love the idea of a flower-filled umbrella for May. May showers bring April showers bring May flowers. Something like that. I'm not quite sure. But I mean, how cute is this, right? So this is our project this month. A 3D umbrella. And you guys, we're gonna make our own little beads today. So let's get started. I'm gonna put my stuff away. And I think I'm gonna do a green basket today. What do I wanna do? Oh yes, a green basket because I have green beads. Everyone got different colored beads. I have a surplus of beads, so we kind of just grabbed. You might get pink, you might get blue, you might get yellow. Actually, I'm going to do a yellow. I think the yellow and the green will look good together. This is a brighter green than I like. I'm just going to string these, you guys. I might paint these. I'm not sure. So I might stain these and just distress them a little bit. And maybe that will give you some ideas on if you got beads that you didn't really like, if you didn't really like the colors. Because I'm just right in the mood of having this muted color scheme. So anyways, guys, let's talk about our supplies. You've got the umbrella base. This has got the holes for hanging where we sandwich it together. So this is our sandwich piece. Then you've got this piece that's going to sit right on top like this. And then you've got a backer piece that will sit behind it, so it sandwiches your handle together, and then that gives you that little gap there to add flowers to. You've got a bow in a protective sleeve here. You've got the bow here. It's in its protective box, and you just want to give it a little bit of a wiggle to get it out. And if it's a little tough, you can use a pair of box cutters or a X-Acto knife. And the little tab, you'll see that it's connected. Kind of just follow the outline, find where it's connected, and then I just use my X-Acto knife and I press down on that connection point until I hear a snap. And now that will release my bow. Okay. And then I'm gonna leave these in their protective case. Well, actually we can take them out. Let's just take them out. More than likely, they'll just pop out if you have a piece of tape on it, or you'll have to give a little wiggle. Give a little wiggle. And we'll tape these down. So there you have a top piece of the bead, and then you have 2 side pieces. So a 1 and a 2, and then your back piece, 1 and a 2. And we're gonna match all those up as we go. So mine split for some reason. So that's why I have an extra set. It looks like I have an extra set, you will not. So you'll have 2 pieces for the top. You'll have these 4 pieces, 2 1s, 2 2s, and then you'll have your back of your bead that has, it's the same as the top, and it has the 1 2 1 2. For some reason, these pieces split on me, so I'm gonna have to glue mine back together. Okay. Mine always is the worst of the worst lot, I feel like sometimes. Maybe that's so I can show you how to fix it. I don't know. So we really don't need to paint the back piece. So I'm going to put that off to the side and let's get some paint out. Actually, I'll just use these colors right here. We're just going to go with green. We're going to go with a green umbrella. I'm going to use this Courtyard Green for my umbrella. So we'll start with that. I just finished the tutorial for the Minute Make It, Mini Make It series. Mini Make It, so make sure I'm saying it right. So that's where all of these colors came from. So we're just going to use them. And you'll notice that I'm kind of using this makeup wedge like a brush. I'm just rubbing it on. I probably should switch to a large flat brush, but sometimes I find that this works just as well. And I've already got the paint on it, so we're just going to use it again. So if you are in the Mini Make It, you also heard me state that this beginning of this month has been a tad bit crazy in terms of life. I think I'm going to do a I want to do a brown. My daughter had her baby. She went into the hospital on Sunday, and we had some minor complications. They didn't expect her to actually deliver until Monday afternoon. It was supposed to be just an evening of getting her cervix ready, and that did not happen. So she ended up going into labor way sooner than they thought, and we had our first grandson, our very first grandbaby, but delivered Monday morning. And then she ended up with some blood pressure issues and low blood and some other issues. So it was kind of a stressful event, to say the least. But everyone is home now. They didn't get to go home until yesterday, so they were in the hospital for a good while. And got to go home yesterday, and she called me today and was sending me pictures saying she feels a lot better. So she just had preeclampsia, which can be kind of scary, and some other things. So it has been just a couple days, let me tell you. And it just, the beginning of the month got away from me. So here we are, a few days late on the tutorial, but we are chugging along. I hope you guys are all having a great start of the month. I can't believe Mother's Day is going to be this weekend. It's the second weekend in the month. It's nuts. Okay, so I'm going to do a yellow bow. I've got my beads here. You really only need to paint the top of the beads. Actually, let's paint the backs too. So the pieces with the 1, 2, I'm going to put down on the tape. I don't want to see those because those are the parts that are going to get sandwiched in the glue up in the assembly. So flip those over so you don't see the 1, 2, and then paint the backs. And then that way, should your beads turn or twist in your hanging, you'll still have the pretty color to see. That makes more sense. So I have all my pieces painted. So while that dries, I'm gonna look at these here. I think I'm gonna distress them. They're a little brighter than I want. How do I want to do it? Let's use a baby wipe and see what we can do here. It's a little bit of brown. And I don't know if this is gonna work. We'll see. I might just have to paint them. So I'm kind of rubbing them, and what's happening is I'm not getting down into the edge there, so I'm going to pull it away, and I am just kind of tapping them. With my baby wipe, squeezing the paint onto them. And kind of just playing with them. So this is what they look like. They're kind of splotchy looking, but I'm going to let that dry, and hopefully I can kind of come in and maybe do a little sanding and add a little more color to them. So right now they look super grungy dirty, right? That's all right. We'll start with that. Okay. I'm going to blast this with some air here. We've just got a spot that's a little wet. And then we're going to get a sandpaper out. We're going to smooth it out because when wood gets wet, sometimes those fibers stand up and it makes it feel super rough. So a light sand, you shouldn't use hardly it's just a really soft pressure, just enough to knock the fibers down to smooth it out. Not enough to, not heavy enough that you're removing a lot of paint. So you can see I barely removed any paint. Just smoothing out those fibers. Be super careful with your bow. It is delicate. Then I'm going to do the same with my beads. And we're ready for our second coat. This project is super fast, but I really love how it turned out. And I love the fact that we can make custom beads. I didn't even think about that possibility until I saw these custom shaped beads, and I was like, oh, those would be so cute. And I tried to hunt down where to find them for the project, and I was, you know, researching, and I just couldn't find a good low spot for purchasing those. So I was kind of visiting with another maker. We kind of just have a monthly meetup where we talk about ideas and things, and she's like, well, just make your own. And you know, told me about this other designer who started making her own beads, and I thought, oh, that is so cool. It's what a brilliant idea. Don't forget to paint the bottom of your umbrella. We're putting a second coat on everything. Just do a nice light coat. Okay, then we're going to come back to these. These should be dry. And I'm going to take this green that I used in my umbrella and just kind of tap it on. I'm not too concerned about getting it 100% covered. We're just kind of tapping it in places. I kind of spin it and tap so I can get the other side of it. But look at how that transforms it. Having that dark on there really gives it this rustic look to it. I think that was the key there, is to get that dark color on there. I think it gave it a good base for this green that I'm using on my umbrella. There we go. I never know that they were that super bright green unless you looked on the edge. Okay, I should probably prop them up somewhere to dry, but I'm really not that concerned with it. I'm not gonna worry about that part. Okay, so before I glue this on, I am going to add a little detail to my handle here. So I'm using that same brown that I'm using in my handle, and I'm going to add a little white to it. I want it to be just a little bit of a lighter shade. And I'm kind of thinking, so you know how they have the handle, whether it's wood or kind of that spongy feeling stuff, or leather or whatever, there's usually something there for your hand to grab. So that's kind of where I'm kind of thinking. I'll just draw a line across here and just kind of hit one side of my, I'm just going to drag my finger through that and soften that out there a little bit. Dragging my light brown kind of off to the side. Use my finger to kind of soften that color up a little bit. So it's not completely the solid light. I've kind of left some of that original color, specifically on the inside of this U shape, J shape, and kind of maybe on this back side, thinking the sun is going to hit, so I have a lighter color here and here. It just gives it a little dimension to that. And then I'm going to grab some black, and I think I'm going to just paint these black. I think this makes sense that these are black, because usually this part of the umbrella are metal. So in all honesty, they probably should be even maybe silver, but I think black is the way to go. So I'm going to come down here and actually hit the knob on the bottom and be black as well. I'm going to leave this brown. I think it looks good that way. But you remember, you can paint it any color you want. Typically sometimes, well, newer $5 umbrellas have the silver handle. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter here. I'm going to grab some more white. I think I just want to have even just a touch more white there. And that might be a little too much. There we go. Just to have a little dimension there. Kind of makes it look a little more rounded to add a highlight there. And I'm going to go back to that black and just tap in a super light black line to give it the look of, you know, this has got more of a thickness to it than everything else. Okay. All right. So let's glue this up. I'm just going to use an all-purpose glue, which, guys, I don't know if I've said this before. Maybe I have. I'm not sure. I have made a switch to kind of just all-purpose glue. I ran out of my super fast-drying, super strong instant adhesive, and kind of have just been using this as a temporary until I got my shipment in. But honestly, I'm just happy with it. I think it's fine. It dries fairly fast. It's not like it takes days to dry. That was my big thing. I'm too impatient to wait for things to dry. But in the process of using it, I've also found that it works just as well and gives me a little more flexibility. So this is just an all-purpose glue. I have a huge bottle of it, and I just fill this little bottle up. And it works fine. Goes to show you, you don't need to have super glue for these projects. Okay, so let's glue the back on. Also keep in mind that too much glue can cause your piece to shift and cause issues. So I like to use kind of these excess pieces and kind of tap that glue around. And that will help the shifting if you want. Sometimes I'm impatient with that part of it and don't necessarily worry about that. So let's get this piece on. Oh, I think I did it backwards. Yes, I did. So always lay out your pieces to know which is which, guys. Don't do what I say, not what I do. But just so you know, so this side has a soft curve. Let's just look at it like this. This side has kind of a soft curve where we're gathering it. So the idea is it gets gathered right here by the bow, and then it's filled with flowers. So this side has just a nice soft curve, whereas this side, right about here, is a hard corner almost. It's not as soft. So that's kind of how you can tell which side goes to which. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're gonna let that dry and let's assemble our beads. So let me fix my beads real quick. I'm gonna throw some glue down on my palette here because I don't want to use this. I'm gonna actually use a makeup wedge. And I just want to get my pieces fixed here because they've separated. So this top piece of the plywood has come off. So before I continue, let's get those put back together so I have the right pieces here. Just glue those back on. Okay, give those a second. So we'll assemble the first one. So we painted the back side of this because this is the side that's going to be shown, and we have a 1 and a 2 here. So let's get our 1 and our 2. Oh no, this one busted apart too. This must be super strong masking tape. It's pulling my plywood apart. If this happens to you, if you have a piece that just kind of separates into two, you can always just glue them back together. So, all right, back to it. You have your top, your insides, and your bottom, okay? So I'm going to take my number 1 piece and I'm going to glue it on the bottom just with a small little amount of glue, and I'm going to put it lining up the petals one on one, okay? One on one. What you want to make sure of is these outside edges are all in line, okay? Then we're going to take the 2, and on the back of the 2, we'll put glue, and we're going to put it on the 2 side. And we are going to line up those outside petals. And what you're going to end up with, give it a good squeeze, making sure it's not going to slide around. What you end up with is a channel or opening between these 2 pieces. And this is where our string is going to run. It's going to be tight, but it will work. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take glue and I'm going to put it on the 1 and the 2. And the reason I don't put it on this is because I don't want to put glue on the piece that the channel is on. It might take a little while to dry, and as I string my string, I might run into issues with that. So this part, as you work, you just want to look at the flower and line up your petals. So I kind of hold this one in this hand, and I can rotate my flower with this one and find where it's going to line up. Don't set it down and then twist it, because then you'll get glue on the back side of this where that channel is. So before you lay it down, find your layout and then squeeze. So there we go. But now, I don't know if you can see that. Oh yeah, just a small little hole in our bead, and now this is our bead. Now, what you can do is you can paint your edges of your beads. This is probably one of the things that I would say, yes, paint those edges to make the beads look more seamless. But that's up to you. So I didn't on my example, but I did want to point that out. This is probably one of those cases where I would say, yeah, the bead might need to be painted. And here I just popped off another piece. Let's glue that back on. Okay. Make sure my petals are aligned, give it a squeeze. So let's do that again. We've got our top. We've got the 1, the 2, and then our base. Okay, we're going to take the 1, and on the back side of it, we're going to apply glue, if I can hold it in my hand. And the 1 goes on the 1. So I set it down, and then I'm going to just shift it as needed to make sure that all my petals line up. Take the 2. On the back side of the 2, apply some glue. And the 2 is going to go on the 2, right? We're going to make sure that our outside petals line up. Give it a good squeeze. We've got our channel there for our string. Then I'm going to apply glue to the top here. and then hold this one in this hand and find your center. You know, you might need to rotate it. No, that was the right way. Kind of just eyeball it to see where it goes, and then place it on there and give it a squeeze. And there we go. We've got our 2 beads. My fingers kind of got that piece dirty, so I'm going to clean it up. And now it doesn't matter what side is up or down, front or back. And again, I think I would end up painting these, but that's up to you. Okay, we're going to let that dry. And I'm going to come back to my umbrella. And what I did was I added some cross hatching on the tip here, and some shadows and highlights here to give the look of a wrinkled, gathered umbrella. So to start with, I'm going to come up to the top here, and you'll notice mine's opposite. There's really no right way. So if you ended up painting this side and your umbrella goes this way, there's no right. It doesn't matter. It's interchangeable that way. So I'm going to use a Sharpie and just start by adding some diagonal lines, trying to keep them as equal distance as possible. Okay, and then I'm going to go the other way, opposite of those, to create this cross-hatching pattern. It might be in the leather or wood handle there. I think that just adds a fun little bit of dimension to that. Okay, so I'm going to then add some shadows. I'm going to grab some of my green on a brush, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of my brown and mix them together to create a darker green. You could also just use a darker green, but I like to use that same color to create the shadow. And then kind of where these kind of has this zigzag top, right? So right at the bottom of the zig, I'm just going to bring some lines in. And I'm going to create different thicknesses. So I'm going to go heavy and then come up light, so it's a little thicker there, and then comes thinner. And I want them to be a little zigzaggy. They're just not straight down. And then I go about halfway, and then from here I kind of offset a little bit and create a little bit of some shadow lines. We're getting small. It's starting to get really bunched up here. And right here, we're kind of gathering it there with our bow. And then I'm going to come, so I kind of come past this gathered point, and then from there I create some more, and they kind of all come down to that point, my shadows. Okay, now we're going to go the opposite with it. I want to add some highlights. So again, I'm going to go back and grab some of that green in my brush, and then a little bit of white. So I want a lighter green, and kind of just in the spots in between, not necessarily equal distance. I'm just dragging some squiggly lines. To create my light and my dark. Okay, and then my bow, I'm kind of thinking it's gonna sit. So remember we talked about that little point where this is coming together. The bow is gonna sit about right there. Now you can put your bow up here. You could put your bow on the umbrella top. It could be here, off to the side, wherever you want your bow, that is fine. I'm gonna have mine mimic the thought of I've gathered this umbrella, the bow's gathering that. So I need to show that the bow or the ribbon is wrapping around. So I'm going to grab some of that yellow and just create a line across here. It doesn't have to be straight. In actuality, I don't want it straight, so I kind of gave it a little bit of a wave. And there we go. So then the bow will sit right on there, and you can kind of see now how it creates that illusion that the umbrella is wrapped with that ribbon with a bow on top. Okay. So now that that's there, I'm going to let that dry for a second. But while that's drying, I am going to take my black Sharpie and give myself some detail lines. So kind of next to the shadow lines, I'm just drawing lines down, a little bit of a wrinkly line, just to give us that nice detail of wrinkles within the umbrella. A couple on the outside, maybe a few along the top. Okay. And there we go. Well, let's see, I think we need another coat of that yellow. It's a little bit light. Too much water on my brush, so I got a really light yellow here. There we go. So we'll let that dry. Let's string our beads. And look at my beads. Isn't that fun how they turned out? Just a little brown, a little color. They match my umbrella. Oops, I don't want to throw that away. Okay, so a few things about stringing your umbrella. I did end up mistakenly give us the thick jute. So it's doable to string them through here. It will fit. But what will happen is eventually this might fray and start to get frustrating. So a couple different things you can do. You can grab a piece of tape. Just gonna kind of trim this down. Just need a small bit. And I start it at one edge here like this, and then I'm going to wrap it and kind of create a tight wrap. Keep twisting it and wrap it in of itself, and that creates kind of like the end of a shoelace that will hold your jute together while you string it. So I'm going to go green, white, flower. This one, you might need to force it a little bit. Kind of twist and push. Let's see where we at. Oh, I can just grab it. What I'm doing is I'm twisting my jute to be a little narrower, so when I think I made it wider. So when you go to twist it, when you're twisting and pushing it in, it should help go through. Once you get it through, it's fine. So if you have a pair of pliers that you can kind of pull your little piece of tape through, that's great. If not, you can push it through with a skewer and kind of shove it that way. So just kind of take your time when working with that. Okay. Then we're going to go back to our white bead and then a green bead. And we're going to take that all the way to the other side. Don't pull it too far down. We want to leave some that we can tie to our circle, but isn't that just cute? And you can add so much detail to this little flower. You could put a center in there. You could add some shadows and things like that. I'm gonna just kind of leave mine plain here. Okay, so then we go green, white. Give this a nice squeeze, make it as thin as possible. And I'm kind of twisting and pushing as I go. Twisting that jute kind of helps it be a little stronger. There we go. Pull that through. And then we go white, green, and so it's going to sit like this. There we go. So I kept my beads down by my tie off. So they're going to sit like this. But you can put your beads at the top where you would display them more prominent. Like you could just kind of rearrange them. And if you wanted them to stay at the top where you're going to hang it, where you can see it a little bit more through the flowers, just put little knots right here, and then that will hold in that location. So I mean, you have different ways that you can display your beads too. So I'm just going to stick this through the hole here. Give it a tie. Actually, I might, since I have a little extra, see if I can create just a little bow here. No. I'll do a double knot and then I'll just trim it. After I was making this, I was kind of just thinking about past joy boxes, and we've done umbrellas before. So I think I'm gonna leave these on and untwist the jute to give me some fun little tails here. Just gonna have these. I kind of forgot how I like the looks of frayed jute. If you untwist it, there are typically 4 or 5 little pieces of jute that are all twisted up together. There we go. And if you had ribbon, you could add some little ribbon bows there. You could add an actual ribbon bow instead of the wood one. However you want to do it. So we're going to glue our bow on next. A couple drops of glue here. There we go. And I'm going to take some black and just outline, add a little outline to my edge of my ribbon on the outside there. Oh, I love it in green too. I love it in green. And then maybe I'll add just a couple highlights. So I've got my white paint pen here. Oh, wrong side. Add some highlights to the tops of my bow. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed this month's craft. I thought it was super fun, something a little unique. We're making our own beads, guys. So fun. Oh, I love this green. I'm really in my green era right now. I just want to paint everything green. Blue or green? What do you guys think? Both beautiful. Here I tried to do a little outlining, but I wasn't a big fan, so I might just, you know, cover that up. Let's just do that right now. That's going to take a couple coats, but anyways, there we are. There is our May Joy Box. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, sorry that I was late. Sorry that I've been a little absent on the social media front. I have been taking some time off to just love up on my family and my new little grandson. So we are just super ecstatic about that. I'm sure he'll be the conversation for a while. Everyone's just in love with him. So thanks for your patience, and happy crafting, guys. Have a great month, and we will see you next month. Bye.